Hello everyone and welcome to the programs. I'm Sean Kimbaloye. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. Well, let's begin with some updates on the Nigerian 2019 election. It's 329 days to the election. So let's kick off with a story from the electoral umpire. There is an update on allegations of child voting in Kano. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, committee set up to ascertain if the voter register requested by the Kano State Independent Electoral Commission was actually used in the local government elections and to investigate the widespread report that persons below the statutory age of 18 years voted using INEC's register. The committee, chaired by National Commissioner Engineer Abubakar Nahuche, has completed his assignment, submitted his report. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, will receive the report. Says the commission would consider and share the details with the public in due course. From that to another developing story we're following right here for you on Channels Television. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with the Dapchi schoolgirls and others who recently regained freedom from the Boko Haram terrorists. The president said his government is ready to offer amnesty to members of the Boko Haram sect who are willing to drop their arms and embrace peace.
While parents of Dapchi girls rejoice because of the reunion with their children, I want to appeal to the Chibok community never to lose hope or to despair. We are determined, as never before, to bring back our remaining Chibok daughters, and this we must accomplish, and that will be soon by God's grace. While further efforts are being made to secure the release of every abducted citizen in Nigeria, government is ever ready to accept the unconditional laying down of arms by any member of the Boko Haram group who shows strong commitment in that regard. We are ready to rehabilitate and integrate such repentant members into the larger society.
And so for many asking questions about how the Dapchi girls were returned, the logistics involved, and what transpired between the security agencies and the Boko Haram insurgents. I know by now you may have seen several videos online of how residents of Dapchi were allegedly received Boko Haram sect. Well, the Director General of the State Security Service, the SSS, Mr. Lawal Dora, has provided some answers. He explained how the service negotiated the release of 105 Dapchi schoolgirls. Speaking at the State House Presidential Villa Abuja, the Director General of the State Security Service said it was a tough job, almost compromised by social media and comments from government officials who are not qualified to speak on such security issues because of its sensitivity.
The sensitivity of the operation and some uncertainties surrounding it, particularly routes to be used, nature of transportation, realization and concern that the girls were not kept at one place, issues of encountering military checkpoints within the theater, and indeed keeping the operation on strictly the principles of need to know, made the whole exercise more complicated. Beyond the release of the abducted girls, Your Excellency, our primary interest for engaging in the dialogue was informed by the following. One, to be able to secure a permanent and possible cessation of hostilities. Two, discussing the fate of arrested insurgents and innocent Nigerian citizens being held hostage. And three, possibility of granting amnesty to repentant insurgents.
So let's get the conversation started tonight. There's a lot to talk about tonight, a lot to reveal also tonight on the program as related to security in Nigeria and the developing story of the Dapchi schoolgirls. One more still in captivity and hopefully the president and the federal government have promised that that God will return, and hopefully so too. So let me bring my guest tonight on the program. He's Mr. Abba Kaka. He's a member of the Borno Yobe People's Council and also a member of the Bring Back Our Girls movement. Thank you so much, Mr. Kaka, for your time on the program tonight. If you hear what the president said about a possible amnesty to be given to repentant Boko Haram terrorists, what do you make of that? Is that a very, very well-advised decision to make in terms of the legality of it and the technical aspect of it?
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for having me here. To answer your question, actually, this is what is actually needed. Amnesty for those who are willing to lay down their arms. And this is the way it has been all over the world. There's no place in the world that terrorism actually was ended at the military battlefield. So you have to come down to a negotiation table and sit down and talk to them. So we are really glad that the government is actually looking at that, because this is the way out. Because as you can see what is happening, this war has been going on for 9 years. The Nigerian civil war just went on for 3 years, and 9 years and still raging. But, you know, this is a solid answer to the solution.
When you make comparison between the insurgency in the Northeast region and the Nigerian civil war, that's a totally different nomenclature and scenarios altogether. These are people who are said to have committed crimes against humanity, perhaps some of the deadliest killers in the world, Boko Haram sect, and the consideration of granting them amnesty, is that actually justifiable in the eye of the law?
When I made that comparison, I was talking about the time frame. I'm not talking about the conflict itself. The time frame of 3 years and 9 years, and it's still raging. So we have to be proactive. We have to be smart in our decisions. And this government seems to be doing that, because we cannot just continue. We have already lost thousands and thousands of Nigerians, you know, and for the past 9 years, this war has been raging on. So do we go for another 9 years or what? So the comparison is actually about the time frame of the conflict itself. But negotiations and amnesty is the answer. You know, it's done all over the world. The American government is doing it. Israelis are doing it. The French government is doing it. Germans are doing it. So why should the Nigerian case be actually different? There's no other way. As a matter of fact, we don't even have any option than to offer the amnesty for those who are willing to lay down their arms and come to the negotiation table. And it looks like they are also ready, and they are, you know, they are tired of the war itself. But now that we have political will, and you know, all along there is a deficit in negotiations is what is happening. Because now it seems like we have passed that stage. So we have to be smart and proactive in what, you know, and taking care of these issues.
Mr. Kaka, because for some people, they will probably think that maybe the federal government or our military or the security apparatus in the country are losing the war against Boko Haram, and that's why these end of fellowship is perhaps being extended to them, those who have killed our brothers and sisters in that part of the country who was devastated, the northeastern region, and now they're saying, go and sin no more?
Shiona, that is not a good assessment. The Nigerian military, you know, compare the war 3 years back to what is happening today. The Boko Haram have been decimated and degraded. There's no doubt about that. We are from that part of the country. We know what we went through, how we suffered for the last, you know, 9 years. But since the advent of this administration, this is probably the most successful administration when it comes to security issues. You know, we know where we were nine years ago, and we know where we are now. So the Nigerian military actually has to be commended for the job well done. You know, 3-4 years ago, we were on the same television talking about the Nigerian military. You know, at that time, there was a lot of conspiracies, a lot of theories was going on, and a lot of sabotage. You know, but now the war is being won. And the end of the war is you cannot defeat terrorism by force. This is an ideology-based issue. So you have to sit down with them. What you have to understand is they are also fellow Nigerians. You understand? We have been suffering for the past 9 years. I think it's enough is enough.
About 105 of those girls, about 110 we understand were taken as forced, and 105 of them have been released. One still left in the custody of the abductors. What message do you think Boko Haram is passing with keeping the girl still in their custody?
You see, it's very unfortunate that one Christian girl was left behind, or they kept her by force. You know, the Boko Haram, they don't even know what they are fighting for. This is not Islam at all. Islam does not allow anybody to ask or force anybody into the religion. So these are just a bunch of bandits and criminals running around. So it's very unfortunate, and I'm sure that since the president has assured the nation that this girl will be returned, she will be back too, very soon.